Hi. What is happening? YouTube. How's it going? I'm Rick from TuneTrack, more importantly, and you are here to join me today for an amazing event. We're going to be talking with two of my favorite people in the entire world, and we're going to get to them in a second. But I want to set up some ground rules, make sure we all understand why we're here, right? So this is a live stream, so we're live. So the internet's live, phones are live, computers are live. The internet, sometimes she can be a harsh mistress. So in the event that there's a dropout, an audio dip, anything goes crazy or haywire, don't worry about it. We are going to be in as much control as possible. We'll get it back. We'll make it happen. Stick with us, right? This is not, by the way, any sort of tutorial. So we're not actually going to be going into working with EZdrummer 3 specifically from a software standpoint. So if you tuned in for that today, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Actually, this is just an interview. And it's an interview with two incredible people. Norman Garschke from TuneTrack, session drummer extraordinaire and member of our sound design team, and famed producer and all-around legend of forever, Michael Ilbert. They're in Germany right now, and I'm in Chicago, and we're all getting together to talk about drums and geek stuff. So this is let's get together and geek out on drums and recording processes and techniques. Okay? Are we good? So I think what we're going to do, without further ado, is we're going to bring them into this conversation. So here we go. Let's do the magic of the internet. Norman and Michael, are you with us now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Lord, technology is on our side for once. Welcome to Chicago. Norman, wave your hand. So that's Norman Garschke, and that would, by default, make the other gentleman Michael Ilbert. Guys, how's the weather in Germany, first of all? Both gentlemen coming to us live from Germany. Different places in Germany, but Germany nonetheless.
Yeah, Berlin is beautiful. It's a great evening, and yeah, pretty summery, I would say.
I'm at the other end of Germany, in the very south, and it's sunny and it's amazing.
Now listen, good I know day. Everyone on YouTube really just tuned in for that, so we're pretty much over now. So we can all we want to do more. Okay, so guys. We wanted to talk today a little bit about EZdrummer 3's core library. And that's such a manufacturer thing to do, right? Well, you're TuneTrack, you just want to... So what we're trying to do today is kind of move past the allure and the mystique of the fact that, yes, we are TuneTrack and we did this for a TuneTrack product, and really approach this conversation about what it takes to record drums of this caliber and at this level, because I don't think I'm alone when I say... putting something like this undertaking, this process of really focusing in on select instruments for a specific purpose can be very daunting. And it takes a village, as they say. So, Michael, I was hoping maybe you could kick things off with us, because I think the number one thing people talk about when they talk about this library is Hansa and its contribution to the overall sort of this sound. If maybe you could just share with us a little bit of your personal... Like, you've been at Hansa now working for years and years and years and years and years. Maybe give us a little bit of information about how and why you picked that as sort of your home base of a studio.
Well, yeah, I mean, the long story is obviously long when I got here. But, I mean, for the library, and both libraries, is obvious, because it's like the room I really know, and I had a lot of success, and I think the diversity with what we introduced in the SDX library, with going to different spaces, was really unique and a fun factor. But I mean, Hansa itself, I mean, Google it up. I mean, it's legendary. Of course, not all the rooms are there as it used to be in the past, but for the SDX library, we managed to find 4 of the spaces and make that library. So yeah.
So Norman, when you worked with Michael on the SDX, the original SDX library, many years ago, at what point in time do you think you sort of had this? Because you're such an important member of our sound design team. When do you think it clicked where you're like, this SDX is great, but what if we came back and we took a different approach to do something more focused? Because we knew EZdrummer 3 was in the works. We don't work on things for like a month and then release them. These are year-long processes. When did it dawn on you during the original Hansa recording sessions that there was still so much more that we could do with Michael and Hansa?
I think it's both. It's first of all, the studio, as Michael already said, is really great and has a lot to offer with different rooms, and we kind of like made this first attempt on using all the spaces in the SDX, which worked great, and which we achieved great results with that. But the second thing for me especially was Michael itself, because I mean he's working out of Hansa since 2006, Michael, right?
7.
So
yep.
2007, so a long time already, and he knows the place so well, and so it was a given that we go back at some point of time and do some more.
Okay, so again, and we're presuming anyone watching this is a Toontrack fan, so forgive me if I didn't go into a great big explanation about some of the smaller details, but just to recap, prior to us working with Michael on the core library for EZdrummer 3, we had recorded another expansion product for our Superior Drummer Line series called The Rooms of Hansa with Michael, and that's where we sort of got our introduction to all working together. And that's what they were just discussing, how when they got together for the first few sessions for that product, it was apparent to everybody on the team there was so much more we could do when that session was done, which brings us to EZdrummer 3. So guys, you record the Hansa SDX library. We love it. It sounds fantastic. Everyone's happy. And then we all get together and everyone's like, hey, what if we get together and we do this again at Hansa? So walk me through, and again, there's no right or wrong answers here, but so you get together again, Norman, you and Michael, you guys get together and you start sort of dreaming, for lack of it. Okay, so what can we do now this second time around? And how do we want to approach sort of organizing something that is in the same DNA, but still very different, right? A different recording in Hansa, because the kiss of death for a lot of, and not everybody, but for a lot of producers or engineers or artists is to do the same thing again at the same place. Like you kind of get on autopilot and it all just starts to sound the same, which I know was the diametric opposite of what you both wanted. So if you guys, Michael, if you could start, just kind of walk us through how you organize your process or this process in particular about these drums need to be this, or these drums need to be different. How do you start that process?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, for us as a team and including Damien, it was, I mean, the biggest difference was this, that the SDX library was like a free zone for me. I could basically just do whatever I want. I could pick all the kits at that time I was in love with or had used successfully or enjoyed or made. Basically, the whole thing started with that, and we opened the door to not put lots of kits in one space. And so that like fun factor for me was doing the SDX. Then moving to the EZdrummer 3 core library, I felt obviously I can't, like you say, repeat yourself. And also like another responsibility that to be a little bit more diverse. And what the nice thing was as well, I learned a lot doing the SDX library. Like what can you commit in sounds? What do you save for preset making? Like what hardware, let's say compression or like how far do you take the sounds? And then what can I do again when I do presets? And I mean, that was amazing knowing all that knowledge.
We were talking about how we kind of focused in the recordings of the second batch of Hansa recordings for EZdrummer 3. Can you speak to that from more of a Toontrack standpoint? Obviously, because we're intimate with all of the products and we're intimate with everything that we do, so we know what we're trying to accomplish. How did we take an approach to trying to put what was sort of our focus for that core this new batch of recordings for EZdrummer 3?
I think Michael was talking about before we dropped off the stream, that it was a big opportunity for all of us, TuneTrack, and also Michael, to learn and add to what we have already experienced from the SDX recording, and have the chance and the opportunity, which we don't have that often, actually have never had before, maybe once in the TuneTrack history, to actually go beyond what we already achieved, because we have gained experience in the process with each other as a team, which was a big part of the whole thing, I think, and to just exceed the results we can achieve in a recording session like this, which is very tight. You have tight deadlines and not too much time to play around with stuff. But this time we knew the process, we knew what we wanted, and we had really a lot of time to prepare in looking back at what we had experienced already and build on that. And I think that's part of why we achieved such an incredible result with that core library.
So, Michael, I wanted to bring up something when we were talking before this went live. You had mentioned that these days, a lot of what engineers and producers in your situation do is sometimes you get to record in studios, but sometimes you end up recording in just what we call spaces, right? So do you approach your drum recordings the same regardless of which one of those two, for instance, that you find yourself in, or do you vary it up accordingly?
Well, I would say it's both. I mean, obviously, I have, mics or a collection. I mean, it always starts with the instrument. Okay? So it starts with the instruments, either if we do a library or if I'm in my normal world of recording records, or,
Sure.
You have the instrument, you try to tune it the best it works. I mean, with drums, it immediately reacts to space, acoustics. If it's, even if it's a dead space, like we have in the library, it reacts. So when you pass that thing, then I have, I think what I've learned, not only with doing, our collaborations is, but just doing this for so long, is I found, my favorites of mics and chains, mic pre's, EQs, whatever. And when I hear an acoustic drum kit, I kind of already know. I also kind of learned or decided for me that depending on sizes, I might use different mics because I find them, representing or let's say capturing. If it's a bigger drum, I change up, let's say on a bass drum. I do a different miking technique than on a smaller bass drum. But in general, I would say there's certain things I always start with, but also I always take on the challenge to spice something up, and at least what I tried. If I have more time on a project, I can do more. If it's tight, you need to get the basic of the sound quickly done. And then, maybe while people working out an arrangement, you can sit, nicely in the back and it's like, okay, maybe it needs a little bit of that,
Let me ask you
or change the mic.
This hypothetical question based on what you're talking about. If you had your choice between a great drum set and not so good outboard gear, or a bad drum set instrument and the best outboard gear, which situation would you rather find yourself in?
Yeah, the first one.
First one. It always starts with the instrument.
It's for everything. It's like it goes to the instrument or it goes to the singer. And my job is just do whatever I can to capture it. And if I don't have my toys around, I work it out somehow,
Yeah. Nice. I love it.
I think that's an engineer's job, and not being too in love with yourself and in love with certain gear. If you give me the gear and I have a great drum kit, I become slightly better engineer, I think.
Wow. I love it.
Let me jump in because that's interesting. We made a test session. You guys might not know that, but we I don't know, like 6 weeks before or 8 weeks before the actual recording, we met up in Berlin and did a short test session where we actually really sorted out different drum kits we had on the list, which we thought would be good selections and good choices for the core library, and really played around with them with different heads, with different tunings, just doing small recordings, seeing what they did and what they gave us in sound, and that's exactly what Michael says. I mean, it's the instrument. If the instrument is really, really good and working for you in the purpose or for what you want to achieve, then you're halfway there already. And that's what we actually did. I mean, I think this test session we did was very, very important in the planning of this whole core library.
Well, and that brings up the next great point is, so what I love about this collaboration is that between Michael and Toontrack, all of us, right, in our own worlds and together, have literally heard thousands of drums, actual drums and drum sounds, to the point where you would think we had heard it all, or that we wouldn't really even be able to discern the slightest differences anymore, that it would all start to sort of blend together. So with that in mind, as we focus on the instruments, Norman and Michael, what were the conversations like about the actual specific instruments we were going to record this time around? Because clearly, okay, Hansa, no-brainer, right? We had figured that out. Michael, no-brainer. We had all the bigger, broader strokes. Okay, we have that. But now when we start talking about, boy, we need to get this snare drum or this kick drum or this combination, how does that conversation start and sort of progress for you guys prior to pushing record? What is that like?
Well, yeah, again, doing a core library, it felt like, well, let's, because I can compare to my own library, so to speak. There was like hand-picked drums, and they were very specific in what they deliver and sound. So my responsibility, I felt the responsibility was like, we need to be a bit more diverse. And that was the conversation. Like, okay, we labeled kind of the rooms and what they would do for us. We labeled, like people can see in the preset lists. Mm-hmm. And we labeled for ourselves, like, a modern kit or retro or vintage or what else do we like singer-songwriter or hip hop, blah, blah, blah. So we can like make a puzzle, like what do we need to cover? And that was like the discussion, like what range do we need to cover? What do we need to do in a core library? My end, back off maybe a little bit of dedication in compression. So it's a little bit more open sounding in certain ways that the user can tweak it more afterwards and not being like, what did this engineer do? He's just overcompressed the rooms and we're gone, So I think a lot of those things we talked about. And then we just started to, Norman and Damien, they had a few wishes. And I said, no, yes, maybe. And that's why the thing came up. We do the test session.
Yeah.
What did we have? We had 4 kits? 3. Yeah. 3 or 4 kits.
4. Mm-hmm.
And we can, try them one day with the drum tech as well, Jan. And just have fun with it, Yeah. Don't be too precious about things. Just let's tune them up quickly, get a vibe. Norman plays, we go, yeah, this has a character. Yeah. Not too much character, maybe, but and then you look for other pieces and puzzles, and you build it. So
without the pressure, without the pressure really to achieve something on that day, which is
Right.
normally the case on the session, because
Yeah.
normally you would need to sample stuff for real. But in this test session, we really had the liberty and the freedom to explore stuff and to just have fun and see what sounds we could get if we would really go for real.
I think one of the things that is striking to all of the TuneTrack users, I mean, so everyone always obviously hears our best of our best, right? I mean, they hear the final product, they hear the best drums recorded by the best people in the best circumstances possible. But to get to that, in every session, I know something gets put up where it doesn't work, right? A kit comes up, a kick drum, a tuning. Talk to us a little bit about how, Michael, I would be really interested to hear, how quickly do you know once something goes up if it's going to work or not from a drum standpoint?
Well, there was the luxury of being home.
Yeah.
I was at home. I was in the studio. It's literally the studio next to me, next door.
Yeah.
The rooms but what we did both on the SDX and the EZX is I have tie lines into my room, so it's my gear, personal private gear that I collected and I know. So with the test session, then it was easy. We were done in every time it was quick. I learned so much. Again, even if I record in Hansa. Not on a regular basis, but I doing sessions or not say, but with certain artists. You always like you can put another drum kit in the same position and you just sound shit. It just doesn't work, and that really happened on the SDX library. I think we like easily lost a day and a half where I said no, take it apart. Yeah. We need to change the heads or just rethink the tuning, because that space and that kit that I wanted in that space didn't harmonize or like fit it immediately. So
when you get the sense that something's not going to work, do you? And again, I think this is a great insight into the mind of someone that makes records for a living. Do you think? If I move the mics, maybe I can make it work? Or do you have more of a gut feeling where you're like, this just isn't going to work no matter what I do?
Yeah, I think it's more of a gut feeling because I'm not a trained engineer or like mentored in that sense. I didn't have maybe I had people around me when I was really young, but not like typical in the fashion of American or English studios where you start from nothing, but there's a mentor who really, really knows what they're doing.
Sure.
And they can show you this mic will do this mic will do that. If you have a source, when you go close or whatever, there's a person who is can show you those things. I never had that. So I don't know what I want to say with that, but yes, gut feeling is probably more the right word for it. That I react. I mean, that's how I always am. I react very quickly, and I need to fix this, and I need to fix it now. And if you have people around you, I mean, this is a different thing of recording the 2-track stuff. But if I'm having a band or an artist around me, I need to fix it immediately. Yeah. We can't go like, guys, see you tomorrow. It doesn't work.
Right.
So yeah, it's from a gut feeling. And then, maybe you let's say I had the idea of these mics, but I feel often it's about bass drum. I feel like, oh, this combo doesn't work. Let's go to this combo or this mic. It will immediately tell me if the drum is right, if the space is right, and it's just me that is not working, Right. So I need to get my thing together and just fix it.
And Norman, from the same perspective, I mean, you've been a part of so many TuneTrack recordings, you and the rest of our guys, Damien and Victor, like all the sound design guys. So clearly you're also attuned to this will or won't work, not just from a drummer standpoint in a lot of cases, but from our software standpoint. Sure. I think a lot of times people are so used to TuneTrack putting out these amazing libraries and content that they forget that we're also the software developer that's created the world and the engine that can best utilize these samples, which is the advantage to our company, is that we're not making content for someone else's programs. We design the program so that they can work simpatico. So, Norman, do you ever run into situations where, in particular with EZdrummer 3, were there any situations where maybe in theory something was good, but in the practicality of how it might be played back in the software or work with the software, it's not going to work or isn't a good idea, and then have to communicate that to an excited producer like Michael? Do you ever find yourself in that situation?
Well, again, the test session is the best example, because we had kits that on their own, they sounded very, very good. I mean, they were state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line kits from various manufacturers, and listening to them solo in the room, they sound amazing, of course. And then it's hard to pick, but I think not maybe from a technical standpoint for the software later on, but from a conceptual view of what should this core library be all about, what should it give to the user, which was from day one and second one the approach of providing a very, very broad and versatile collection of drum sounds for the songwriter that he or she can use in many different scenarios of a songwriting process. Then it was very easy to actually pick the best drums that we had available. And I have to add, I mean, what Michael just talked about, the gut feeling, this is something I find completely fascinating, especially in working with him, because what he calls gut feeling is a really profound vision of a sound where he wants to get to. He has a very clear mind on, okay, this is going to work, and this is going to work for songs that should sound like that, or these sounds might sound amazing on their own, and of course it's an impressive drum sound, and it's got compression on it, and what else, but it might not work in a real life songwriting scenario, and he has that expertise and knowledge about that, and also the dedication and focus that he, as he described, he will not stop until he has that sound, and until he hears that sound from me playing that sound, or from the drum tech tuning the drums, the whole line of the production. And this is, I think this is incredible. I mean, I really admire that vision and imagination of sound he has, and I think, again, this is the reason why this core library is really, really a great achievement, I think.
Well, and to kind of also bring that back to how we started with the EZdrummer 3 core library and just EZdrummer 3 in general, it really is the purpose-built dream, right? It is the software that knows how to facilitate the use of these amazing sounds, and then tools within that software to help you make the most out of those sounds. So one of the things I want to ask Michael is, so as many people know, because of the way our software is designed, it's meant to be used in a number of different manners. Obviously, you can use MIDI, you can actually trigger things with your keyboard or an eDrum. And as a part of the recording process, something that's unique to the way we would record drums as Toontrack versus maybe an artist who would be, just recording a song with Michael, is the process of capturing all of the articulations for each drum. Now, I know from being involved in many of these sessions myself, and actually having the pleasure of being there for the Hansa sessions for some of it, the first time a producer or an engineer works with Toontrack is a lot of the first time they're ever confronted with, holy crap, I've never thought about how the mic position would be affected or sound for that particular, a million of that little soft hit, or a million of that loud hit, or that rim shot. So my question for you, Michael, is when you first sort of got involved in our process of the way we try and get all of the sounds out of the drum, did that make you rethink any of your miking techniques, or change anything, or think a little bit deeper about the drum sound than you might normally for a regular session, or did it just sort of all still make sense to you?
Pretty much it made sense. I think the biggest thing of it all is Well, the really interesting thing, or like how to put it, I would say I was really amazed by the software, is how actually the room comes back through the software. It's like in Hansa, and especially because we did different acoustics, different spaces. It was all represented through the software. I really felt like I'm there now in this room. I know that room. It sounds like that. If I put a drum kit, me, If I go to that space, it comes, it came back like that. And I was really, really amazed by that. That was like okay, wait a minute. There's something here working. So the things I've learned was, and that's not any downer or negative, but when you deal with software or like sampling, like we do, compression doesn't work the same way. Distortion doesn't work the same way. Like if a drummer plays, and if you compress a room or you compress the whole thing a little bit like a parallel compression and feed it in, each hit will duck the other stuff, or duck or take down, ambience. So it's always like if you get it right, and kick and snare is pumping the compression, those things. It's like ducks itself and gets in a groove, and obviously gets to the tempo of the song because that's how you try to set it. Then obviously we don't know what tempo people are going to sing in, So I learned a lot of that, and it was fun. Again, it's always like, for me, you have to like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. Yeah. Oh, all right, yeah. Well, I will remember this next time I even do a regular session, to be more precise or anything. So that was really things I learned, and I could adjust or take it. Let's say I could take it further on the core library, and that in the end is the result that I feel it's more flexible.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting too, because we use the term sample because it's sort of the generic term like Kleenex or Coke but the fact of the matter is, that term sample comes from the late 70s practice of lifting a particular piece of a song off of a piece of vinyl and using it it's a sample of the whole thing. Literally, if you think about what these guys are recording, if you think about what Michael and Norman and our sound design team, we're giving you more audio options and fidelity than you would actually get from listening to a record. You literally have, this isn't a sample of anything. The drum can't be played any other ways that we haven't recorded it. And if it can, we'll figure that out and we'll record those too. So really, these guys are like audio archaeologists. They're going in and they're basically saying, how can we best capture every single component of this drum in this environment and make it available at whim when you want it in ways that maybe we didn't even think of. And I think, what they do is an art, right? So you take our sound design team, you take a seasoned veteran engineer and producer like Michael, and you put them together. And as we hear these stories, again, I'm just always overwhelmed when I push a picture and it makes noise, right? That's the simplicity of my brain. It's like, look, a picture of a drum, boing. It's like, oh, okay, sounds great. But to listen to the care and the concern that they put into just even planning the recording session, let alone executing it. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we were in Hansa for 19 or 20 days straight for this session, were we not? It was something around there.
I forgot, but Norman, remember.
Something like give or take.
Ish.
Can you imagine like living, eating, and breathing? It's like recording a major label record and never inviting the rest of the band. Just the drummer shows up and you just do drums and now the record's done, right? It's that same process.
Yeah, but that's like, that's the fun. Also, that's the fun part,
Exactly.
Again, it's like, that's what I first time doing it. It was like, okay, do we need to hit another layer, another velocity? Are you sure? All right, yeah, you do that. Okay. You worked it out, and obviously that's just my luxury. I find a drummer, first of all, who plays amazing. And he also worked out all these little things that needs to be done repeatedly over and over and over again. like Norman.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the genius in that sense. It's like that is like such a bonus for me. It's like, okay, I don't have to worry about anything of that. I'm just going to get what I do because I know he's going to deliver back to me all the stuff. And we're going to capture everything that is needed in all these velocities, or what do you call it. Plus, this time you also brought the little, Midi Trigger.
Yeah.
So to take it another level, another step was when we were done, we added the Midi Trigger to each instrument or each, drum, and just captured that velocity on MIDI. So when the editing later, that stage happened, they were also a MIDI curve. So we could really, and I feel that all these little details made the core library so much better. Like, I mean, if like I say, I know these spaces, I know some of the drums. There's a private drum kit. There's private drums from me, cymbals. I know how they sound, and then I go and open the EZdrummer 3, and I open it's like, shit, that's next door. That's my drum kit in that room.
Yeah.
And with the MIDI grooves or all those things, that was a big thing that Norman and we started that process on the SDX. That I said, no, we have to redo the MIDI because this sound that I tried to make doesn't work with 127 or 120 on MIDI. It needs to be 90 or 80 or 60 or whatever. So I was very conscious, and it was important to me that each recording also got presented how I heard it or wanted to be heard. And I mean, it's like if you record a soft drum kit, or like let's say someone plays it soft, just turn it up and make it loud. The impact is there, but I wanted, in some ways, those little drier things as well as, hard-hitting rim shots or what stuff. So, yeah, long story, but it's I mean, when I got in and started to understand the process, the software, and how we could, we took it one time, and then second time we just repeat it, and we can, we don't have to think about this, we don't have to think about that, we don't have to think about that. We just start on this level and go up instead of zero. That was amazing.
That was the big advantage, definitely.
And I think too, as you guys mentioned earlier, so I know, if you set out to do everything, you won't accomplish anything, right? So you've got to have a focus. So at what part, with all basically all the drums that exist in Germany at your disposal, with all the cymbals, with all the experience from both Toontrack's side and Michael's side. So where did the two groups, where did Michael and Toontrack sort of set the parameters as this would be too far either way? We want to leave it right down the middle here. So, for instance, we had talked earlier about how do you accommodate both rock and hip hop, and how do you sort of move through the genres without getting so specific and so diversified that you really can't wrangle it in? What is, especially for this core library, which I think you did. I mean, the 3 rooms obviously help immensely, but even the selection of the instruments within those 3 spaces is very. And it's an oxymoron, right? Because it's very focused, but at the same time, like we've talked about, it covers so many bases. That's not accidental at that point in time. How do you sort of set the boundaries? What does that look like? What is that conversation or that process like?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I sometimes like. I mean, okay. Again, maybe repeating myself, but no. I know the spaces, so that's the beginning. Yeah. I make a decision, or I make a decision, then I present it to Norman and Damien and say, okay, this is how I think we can achieve certain sounds. But then always there's sometimes, like it's always with Hansa. We have what we call the booth or the vocal. It's a vocal booth, old school vocal booth, or a bass amp, something like that. It's a tiny space. But I always loved it from from my very first recording when I came here. I put the drummer there, and but it has doors to what is called in the library a bright room, but also in what do we call it?
Main room.
Main room. Thank you. So I left the doors open, so we could achieve, and different kinds of room sounds that actually don't belong to the booth or is the space. And that was like, when you start doing those, experiment, and you react very quickly. I mean, it's like I hear it, and like, whoa, that works, but that is I need to do, adjust things. And that's you just go by experience or gut feel, or like you react to something and you make a quick decision. Yeah. So I'm losing the thread, but
no, it's good. So that brings up a point. So Norman, as we're recording these drums, you kind of have double duty, right? You and the sound design team. So you're there to obviously capture all of the sounds you can for the software, but you're also the steward of all the things we're trying to accomplish with the software, right? That may be known to Michael or unknown to Michael. So as you're recording these drums and we're setting up new kits, are you keeping a running tally in your mind? Like, okay, that'll work great for this, and this, or that? Are you kind of ticking off boxes like, okay, well, we've got some stuff that'll work for rock. We got some stuff. Or is it just more organic?
I think I realize while we record stuff and while we get sounds that I get a feeling of that this is going to be amazing and this is going to work and this is going to be, this is going to be so different from the one we just did that it's perfect for the library. Yes. But again, I would say, 80% was done really in preparation for the recording. We had it pretty much down on paper what we're going to do. Yeah. And then I have really to speak about Jan, also the drum tech, because in combination with Michael, Jan and Michael know each other a long time already and work a lot together and have worked a lot together in the past already. So they were like a married couple sometimes. They knew exactly when the one sorry, Michael. In a good way. Yeah. In a good way.
Yes.
No, they were. Michael would express a wish of a certain sound, and Jan would immediately know what he wants and what he means by that, and where he wants to go with that. And so dialing up sounds was really very quickly, and the job for Damien and myself was very, very easy because we just had to say, yes, please, yes, let's record, let's push record, because it's amazing right now. And then again, I can't stress this too much. The vision of sound from Michael, that he knows exactly where he wants to go and what he wants to hear and what he wants to achieve in the different spaces, in the different spots in the room, with the different mics and configurations that were up. That made it really very easy. And do I have a list that I tick in my head when we do this? I would say yes, of course, just as Damien also has. And we were just enjoying the ride because it was very easy and the results were already great in the recording. So
I love it. Gentlemen, as I wind this down, I have to ask myself the obvious question that everyone else might be asking, because we keep talking about all the drums in Germany and how amazing Hansa is that we've already been there twice. Have we captured all the sounds there are to capture at Hansa? Or is there still more work to do at Hansa? Now, I'm not saying anything. Don't get in the comments, weirdos on the internet, and be like, well, he's predicting. I'm not saying anything. I'm asking a question to two professionals, so settle down. But have we got, did we get it all? Is there still more there? Did we get the best of it? How do you feel about our representation in the core library and the SD? How do you feel we've represented Hansa?
I think we represented the spaces really, really, really well. But just put another drum kit and it's going to sound different.
What?
Put another drummer, it's going to sound different. Get another engineer, it's going to sound different. Yeah. That's the fun thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like all of us, we hear things differently, and like I think I tried to explain before in some forums or like the previous videos and stuff. Like this is, I think, how I hear drums, or yes, how I try my hardest to get it there, you know. I mean, every time I record, every time I step into the studio, every time I get a mix to do, I learn something. I find something that someone did differently, and I go like, "Whoa, that's let me think about that one," you know. And doing doing this a second time, that's just, yeah, I love it because I also learn. You know, I build up my little box of tools. I build up my little thing of, okay, those mics, you know, like drums, you use a lot of mics. But it was more mics than needed in a regular drum recording. But people have that in the preset. It's like the same time we recorded, let's say, 2 configurations. So some of the preset shows that I hope, you know, because the same drum kit with another miking technique or another color of mics, positions, and etc. Just change it like that quickly, and as a user, you go to, hang on, this is great, but maybe it's a little bit too big, or a little bit, you know, something. I want it, you know, a little bit small, a little bit more centered, focused, or something. You just hit that other preset, and you go, whoa, yeah, that's more like it. You know, so yeah, we did, you know, we overdid it with mics like you do, but that's because you can.
Yeah.
I think any studio, you can go there back and back, just put other people in there, and it's going to sound different. So yes, there's probably another corner, another little thing for the history
dun, dun,
or the
dun.
future. Yes.
Norman, what do you think?
I think we achieved really a lot at Hansa and in that team. It's such a broad selection of drums and sounds. I mean, I open up the EZdrummer every day, and I think, wow. I mean, I can go there or there or there, and it all sounds amazing, I think. But yeah, to Michael's point, I mean, we learn every time we do this, so we can build on that and can go from there and not start off from scratch again. I don't know. I mean, let's see what we're up to in the future.
It was a baited question because, again, everybody watching this just thinks that I'm setting them up now for whatever we're going to do next, which is great because I like to troll the internet like that because I'm here. I might as well have some fun. So, gentlemen, you're in Germany and you were kind enough to take your evening to spend with us. Here in the States, it's in the afternoon, so we've got a little bit of a time difference. As I wind this down, I wanted to just thank you both very much. I mean, I love you both immensely, and I think what you guys accomplished with EZdrummer 3 is, I mean, it's my job as a guy that works for TuneTrack to say nice things about TuneTrack. I don't think I'm surprising anybody when I say that, but every sound is subjective, right? So anything we do, people hear and they respond to it or they don't. And I've heard a lot of drums, as everyone can imagine, just like everyone else on this panel today in my time at TuneTrack. And the minute I heard the core library from EZdrummer 3, I immediately knew, okay, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how all of a sudden I'm paying attention to drum sounds again, where it's like, wow, this is very cool. It's familiar. It's like a warm blanket. And then the 3 rooms, the fact that we went back, we worked with a friend again. And, you know, not that I want to harp on it, but let's also realize these guys did this work in the middle of a pandemic. Hello. So these guys not only went in and recorded in what would be under normal circumstances, you know, a little mind numbing and grueling, but they went in while the world was basically locked down and said, we need to get some drums recorded. So in my mind, the core library is just special, and it always will be. And again, I think combined with the history from the Hansa SDX and the fact that it's very clear that TuneTrack and Michael Ilbert, it's just a good team. It's like when a band finds a good producer and a producer finds a good band, it just works together. So as to whether or not the future holds anything else for this group of motley people, I don't know. However, I don't think any of us are closed off to it. And I think that's the most exciting part. We're always ready for whatever comes next. So with that, gentlemen, if you have anything you'd like to say to the rest of the world via a live stream, I'm going to leave the floor to you two before I yammer on at the close of this whole thing. So Norman, I'll start with you. Any parting words?
I just wanted to mention Damien as well. I mean, Michael and I were here both on the call, but Damien was there for the recording as well, and was, as I was, completely involved in the planning, and this was a thing between the three of us from the beginning, and it was amazing having him on that planning on the recording as well, and of course all the amazing guys up in Sweden, the programmers and the graphic guys. I mean, look at the program; it's amazing, I think, and of course I'm a Toontrack guy, but I still think it's an amazing story.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Well said,
Michael.
I wanted to ask you a question, Rick, but it's going to probably take too long. But
no,
because I make it quick, and you can make it how you want it. Because you weren't here. You were here briefly when we did the SDX.
Yeah.
So you saw the place. We got to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
You heard stuff. We heard the first recording in what we call the Bright Room. Now this time we just got it served on a platter, basically. So you started a little bit, but like what was your feeling when you opened it and heard it? You forget about all the amazing new features. Not talking about like all the greatness
just
in
the
software.
Sounds.
Just the sounds. What was your impression? Did we achieve what the Toontrack label is known for?
Yeah, well, and this I'll tell you exactly. Thank you. That's a great question. Here's exactly what I do anytime a new product comes out, because obviously with EZdrummer 3, it's like you said, Michael, there's new features, it's new artwork, there's a lot to take in. So when the core library for EZdrummer 3 became available to us internally, I opened it in Superior Drummer 3 first, because the graphics are never done for Superior before so all you're dealing with now is the sound. Now all I'm doing is listening to sounds. And at first, I'll be very honest, pardon my French, internet, when I opened up the main room, I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? I don't understand what's going on here, because I was so used to working with Hansa that, just like working in a studio, if you work with certain libraries in our software, you get used to the way they sound and what. And I'm like, how are these the same rooms? And now I'm A-Bing and I'm pulling up different things. And I'm like, did these guys try and cheat me and use some of the same drums from I'm going between the SDX and the core library, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what is happening that this is the same place and it's so different? And then I'm looking at the instruments and I'm thinking, well, no, wait a minute. Okay, then I opened it in EZdrummer 3 and I was like, you know what? As it continued to progress and the different parts of the library, so we had the tight room, then we get the bright room, and I'm just like, this, to me, the separation of those rooms by that designation was a brilliant choice that you guys made. Because to your point, Michael, even though drum sounds are subjective, most musicians, when you say bright, will think, oh, this, or when you say tight, they'll think, oh. I mean, those terms really sort of lend themselves to being creative. It's like, oh, if I'm looking for a brighter sound, I don't have to guess. I could probably just start with the bright room and tailor it back from there, or go. I mean, so the difference between the two libraries for me, as someone that hears this stuff literally every day of their life, was night and day. And again, that's always the most amazing thing to me, because, like you said, Michael, if it's a different engineer and different instruments and then sure, right? However, this was the same team. This was the same group of guys in the same place doing something completely different. And for me, that was like the wow. I was like, holy cow. That's when I was kind of overwhelmed. I mean, Duck, Here Comes Some Love. That's when I was overwhelmed with your talent and your vision, Michael. And then Norman and Damien's ability to capture and harness. That's when it really was like, wow, I can't believe I know all these guys, first of all, but let alone they did it. Like, one of the biggest concerns we always have when we work with people that we work with is like, are we going to do the same thing again? And it was like, not even close. And not only did we not do the same thing, we did a version of this thing that is like a dream, like you have both mentioned, where it's like, listen, we have a little bit of something for everybody. They're literally, I mean, that's such a, the minute it comes out of my mouth, all I want to say to myself is bullshit. That's something everybody says, right? That you're supposed to say that to sell software. But as a guy that's been making music my whole life and listening to drums intensely for the past 15 years with this company, this is literally a library that can cover and span so many different styles of music, which again, from the EZdrummer standpoint, it's literally the dream. My biggest fear is how do we ever do this again? I worry. It keeps me up at night. Now I'm like, oh crap, what just happened? Did we just record our Led Zeppelin 4? Is this our White Album, or is it all downhill from here? I mean, am I Elvis in the late 70s now? Are those days? Is it over? Is it just start making peanut butter and banana sandwiches and wait for the worst?
That's the point I said earlier on. It also comes down to the instrument, and it is, any it's not only drums, but any instrument changes immediately. And if I think any good engineer, they will react to it. And that's the nice thing, that's why we can go on, and you can go on as a company, and you work with other people, because everyone hears it slightly different. They have a little other vision, another, picture. And that makes it so special. And that's the point. You have the platform.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a very good marriage.
As far as I'm concerned, you guys are just magic, and I can't thank you enough. I'm going to let you get on with your lives. I love you both greatly. I know everyone appreciates your time, and I'm sure this won't be the last time we all talk. Gentlemen, I release you from the confines of the internet, Zoom, and all this awkward questioning. Mwah, mwah, to both of you and yours. Be safe. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you both soon. I'm going to address the internet now, so I'll talk to you guys later. Internet. Thanks for watching this video. So listen, one of the reasons we did this video is because in the near future, and near future is an abstraction, but it's the future, it's the near future. It's not now, it's the near future. We actually have an in-depth video we're going to be releasing right here on this internet thing about the making of EZdrummer 3, where Michael and Norman and some other folks show you some behind-the-scenes footage and talk a little bit more in the vein like we were talking today about what it takes to make a library as amazing as this. So look for that. I don't have the exact date because they don't tell me everything for that reason. It's kind of mysterious, but it'll be coming out soon. And more importantly, realize this. So this was an amazing time with the guys in an interview, and man, we're just so lucky to have had access to both of them for this entire thing. Starting next week, for the next few weeks, just a reminder, we've got walkthrough Wednesdays. So what that means is ultimately we are not talking about the program today, right? But next week we will be talking about the program. And what we're going to be doing is taking each tab in the program and dedicating one walkthrough Wednesday to that tab to make sure that you, if you are an end user or a future user of EZdrummer 3, you understand basically all the nuts and bolts, everything you can do with the software, how to get the most out of the software, answer some questions, tell some jokes, look at my beard. I'll probably wear a shirt just as tight as this if it's making you uncomfortable. That was the whole point. There's going to be a lot of things going on. And more than likely, just like today, there'll be some sort of internet mishap that makes all of it even funnier and a little bit aggravating to all of those involved in watching. If you can't laugh at yourself, at least laugh at somebody else. That's all I really have for you today. So listen, we want to thank you for taking time to spend with myself. Again, a special thanks to Norman Garschke from TuneTrack and from Michael Ilbert. What a great time. We appreciate you. We love you. Have a great weekend. Make sure you head over to www.tunetrack.com for all the details about future live streams, new product releases, sales, promotions, anything and everything you need to know or have or want about TuneTrack and our products, you can find there, www.tunetrack.com. I'm Rick. This would normally be the part where like some theme music started playing underneath me and they kind of like played me out. We're too cheap to do that, so something tells me we're just going to fade or go to some weird star wipe transition or something where I'm just not here anymore. So me and my beard and love of drums and TuneTrack will see you and the rest of our internet family later in life. Peace!